Hello and welcome to Quiz Class. I'm your host, Ellen, and today we have 100 questions on general knowledge. We'll cover a little bit of everything, history, science, pop culture, and a few surprises along the way. Let us know how you rank in the comments at the end, along with the answer to the bonus question. Which delegate at the Constitutional Convention is often credited as the father of the Bill of Rights? Vergara, George Mason, or Aquila? George Mason. The Federalist Papers were originally published in which city? New York City, Philadelphia, or Boston? New York City. Which U.S. amendment was the only one to repeal another amendment? The 20th, 22nd, or 21st? The 21st. The Hartford Convention of 1814 was associated with which political party? The Democratic Republicans, the Whigs, or the Federalists? And here we go. The answer is the Federalists. Which Civil War battle is known for Stonewall Jackson's famous flank attack? Antietam, Shiloh, or Chancellorsville? Chancellorsville. The Overland Campaign was led by which Union general? William Sherman, Ulysses S. Grant, or George McClellan? Ulysses S. Grant. The Lost Battalion of World War I was trapped in which forest? Argonne Forest, Meuse Valley, or Belleau Wood? Argonne Forest. Which battle was the last major conflict of the American Revolution? Saratoga, Yorktown, or Cowpens? Yorktown. Who was the first U.S. president elected by the House of Representatives due to no electoral majority? Thomas Jefferson, Rutherford B. Hayes, or John Quincy Adams? John Quincy Adams. The Know Nothing Party of the 1850s was primarily focused on opposing what? Slavery, immigration and Catholic influence, or bank monopolies? Immigration and Catholic influence. Which U.S. president won despite losing both the popular vote and the initial electoral tally until a compromise? Benjamin Harrison, James K. Polk, or Rutherford B. Hayes? Rutherford B. Hayes. The Free Soil Party primarily opposed what? National banks, federal tariffs, or expansion of slavery into new territories? Expansion of slavery into new territories. Which poet wrote Leaves of Grass? Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, Emily Dickinson, or Walt Whitman? Walt Whitman. The Harlem Renaissance was most active during which decade? The 1920s, the 1930s, or the 1910s? The 1920s. Which American author wrote The House of Mirth? Louisa May Alcott, Willa Cather, or Edith Wharton? Edith Wharton. The Ashken School was associated with which type of art? Regionalism, urban realism, or abstract expressionism? Urban realism. Which composer created Appalachian Spring? Aaron Copland, Charles Ives, or Mozart? Aaron Copland. And moving on, the Hudson River School painters are best known for what subject matter? Still lifes, portraits, or landscapes? Landscapes. Which U.S. state has the only royal palace on American soil? Hawaii, Louisiana, or California? Hawaii. And we're already at question 20. Let us know how you're doing so far. The geographical center of the contiguous United States lies in which state? Nebraska, Kansas, or Missouri? Kansas. Which state has the most miles of coastline? Alaska, California, or Florida? Alaska. The Mississippi River begins in which U.S. state? Wisconsin, North Dakota, or Minnesota? And let's get ready for the answer. Minnesota. Which desert is primarily located in Nevada? The Great Basin Desert, the Mojave Desert, or the Sonoran Desert? The Great Basin Desert. The U.S. acquired Alaska from which country in 1867? Spain, Russia, or Britain? Russia. The TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority, was created during which president's administration? Harry Truman, Herbert Hoover, or Franklin D. Roosevelt? Franklin D. Roosevelt. The first successful airplane flight took place in which state? Virginia, North Carolina, or Ohio? North Carolina. The first transcontinental railroad was completed at Promontory Summit, in which state? Utah, Colorado, or Nevada? Utah. Thomas Edison's first major invention was related to which device? the telegraph, the electric vote recorder, or the light bulb? The electric vote recorder. Who invented the cotton gin? Cyrus McCormick, Samuel Slater, or Eli Whitney? Eli Whitney. Hope you're ready for question 30. Nikola Tesla's famous AC power demonstration occurred at which event? The Philadelphia Centennial, the World Trade Center, or the World's Columbian Exposition? World's Columbian Exposition. The phrase, "we the people," was written primarily by whom? Alexander Hamilton, Gouverneur Morris, or James Madison? Gouverneur Morris. Next question. The Supreme Court case McCulloch versus Maryland dealt with what issue? National bank constitutionality, land treaties, or free speech? National bank constitutionality. Which amendment lowered the voting age to 18? The 25th, the 26th, or the 24th? And the clock is ticking. The 26th. The only president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms was Grover Cleveland, Woodrow Wilson, or William McKinley? Grover Cleveland. Question 35. Which battle is considered the bloodiest single day in American military history? Antietam, Gettysburg, or Shiloh? Antietam. And let's keep it rolling. The Trail of Tears primarily affected which Native American nation? The Sioux, the Apache, or the Cherokee? The Cherokee. And the quiz goes on. Which general led U.S. forces at the Battle of New Orleans in 1815? William Henry Harrison, Andrew Jackson, or Henry Clay? Andrew Jackson. The Buffalo Soldiers were originally part of which branch? The U.S. Army Cavalry Regiments, the Marines, or the Navy? U.S. Army Cavalry Regiments. The Bonus Army protests of 1932 were led by which group? Farmers, teachers, or World War I veterans? World War I veterans. The Lincoln-Douglas debates centered primarily on what issue? Banking, slavery and popular sovereignty, or tariffs? Slavery and popular sovereignty. The Mugwumps were reformers who bolted from which party in 1884? Democrats, Republicans, or Whigs? Republicans. Which U.S. president was the first to be impeached? Bill Clinton, Richard Nixon, or Andrew Johnson? Andrew Johnson. What was the main goal of the Granger movement? Regulation of railroad rates, expansion of slavery, or currency reform? Regulation of railroad rates. Which American novelist wrote The Grapes of Wrath? William Faulkner, Sinclair Lewis, or John Steinbeck? John Steinbeck. Which American painter is known for Christina's World? Thomas Hart Benton, Andrew Wyeth, or Edward Hopper? Andrew Wyeth. And let's see what's next. Who composed Rhapsody in Blue? Aaron Copland, George Gershwin, or Leonard Bernstein? George Gershwin. The Transcendentalist movement centered in which U.S. region? New England, the Midwest, or the South? And brace yourselves for the answer. New England. Mount Rushmore is carved into which type of rock? Granite, sandstone, or limestone? And lock in your answers. Granite. The Everglades are primarily located in which U.S. state? Texas, Florida, or Louisiana? Florida. And we're halfway through. Question 50. Which U.S. city is nicknamed the Athens of the South? Nashville, Savannah, or Charleston? Nashville. Which state was the last to ratify the U.S. Constitution? Delaware, Rhode Island, or North Carolina? And truth time, Rhode Island. Let's keep it coming. The Great Compromise of the Constitutional Convention created what? The Bill of Rights, direct presidential election, or bicameral legislature? Bicameral legislature. Which Federalist paper focuses on the dangers of factions? Number 70, number 10, or number 51? Number 10. Let's see if you get the next one. The Alien and Sedition Acts were passed under which president? John Adams, James Madison, or Thomas Jefferson? John Adams. The U.S. Supreme Court decision, Dred Scott versus Sanford, declared what? Territories free of slavery, slavery is unconstitutional, or African Americans could not be citizens? African Americans could not be citizens. The Mexican-American War began under which U.S. president? James Monroe, James K. Polk, or Zachary Taylor? James K. Polk. The Anaconda Plan was designed to do what? Blockade the Confederate ports, arm freed slaves, or invade Canada? Blockade Confederate ports. Next up, the Battle of Midway was considered the turning point in which theater? North African, European, or Pacific? Pacific. The Tet Offensive took place during which war? The Vietnam War, the Gulf War, or the Korean War? And we're about to see the answer, the Vietnam War. We're already at question 60. The Zimmermann telegram proposed an alliance between Germany and which country? Canada, Mexico, or Brazil? And Mexico is the answer. The Bull Moose Party was led by which former president? William Taft, Woodrow Wilson, or Theodore Roosevelt? Theodore Roosevelt. 62 is coming. The silent majority phrase was popularized under which U.S. president? Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard Nixon, or Gerald Ford? And let's see who said that. Richard Nixon. Let's see what's next. Which third-party candidate won 19% of the popular vote in 1992? Ross Perot, Ralph Nader, or George Wallace? Ross Perot. The Dixiecrats bolted from the Democratic Party in 1948 over what issue? Union power, civil rights, or segregation? Segregation. The Trail of Broken Treaties was led by which group? The Black Panthers, the American Indian Movement, or the United Farm Workers? American Indian Movement. Who wrote The Souls of Black Folk? Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington, or W.E.B. Du Bois? W.E.B. Du Bois. Which poet won the Pulitzer Prize 4 times? Robert Frost, Carl Sandburg, or Sylvia Plath? Robert Frost. The novel Invisible Man was written by whom? Richard Wright, Ralph Ellison, or James Baldwin? Let's see if you've got this one. Ralph Ellison. Tell us in the comments how you're doing so far. The Beat Generation was most associated with which decade? The 1950s, 1940s, or the 1960s? The 1950s. Question 70. Edward Hopper's Nighthawks depicts what setting? A city street, a train station, or a late night diner? And the answer is late night diner. The Grand Canyon is primarily carved by which river? The Colorado River, Snake River, or the Rio Grande? The Colorado River. Which U.S. state contains the highest peak in North America? Colorado, Alaska, or Washington? Alaska. Question 73. Crater Lake, the deepest lake in the U.S., is in which state? Oregon, California, or Idaho? Oregon. Which river forms much of the border between Texas and Mexico? Colorado, Pecos, or Rio Grande? The Rio Grande. The driftless area, a region untouched by glaciers, lies in which state? Wisconsin, Montana, or Maine? And the answer is Wisconsin. Which U.S. state has the most active volcanoes? Hawaii, California, or Alaska? And the answer is almost here. Alaska. The Erie Canal connects the Hudson River with which Great Lake? Lake Superior, Lake Erie, or Lake Ontario? Lake Erie. Which U.S. city is home to the oldest continuously operating public library? Boston, New York, or Philadelphia? Boston. The Homestead Strike of 1892 was against which company? Standard Oil, Pullman, or Carnegie Steel? Carnegie Steel. We are on question 80. Don't lose your focus. The first American patent was signed by which president? James Madison, George Washington, or John Adams? George Washington. Which American invented the reaper, revolutionizing agriculture? Cyrus McCormick, Eli Whitney, or John Deere? Cyrus McCormick. The first successful telegraph message in 1844 read what? It works, what hath got wrought, or Eureka? What hath got God wrought? The Wright brothers tested their airplanes primarily in which location? Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, Virginia, or Ohio? And here it comes. Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Which American scientist discovered the polio vaccine? Louis Pasteur, Albert Sabin, or Jonas Salk? Jonas Salk. The Manhattan Project was centered in which U.S. state? New Mexico, Illinois, or Tennessee? New Mexico. The Hoover Dam was built on which river? Columbia, Mississippi, or Colorado? Colorado. Bell Labs was responsible for which major invention in 1947? Radar, television, or transistor? Transistor. And let's see what's next. The first American woman to win a Nobel Prize was Rachel Carson, Jane Addams, or Barbara McClintock. McClintock, excuse me. Jane Addams. Which U.S. landmark is nicknamed the Gateway to the West? Mount Rushmore, the Golden Gate Bridge, or the St. Louis Arch? The St. Louis Arch. We have a few more to go on question 90. The original 13th colony not along the Atlantic coast was Vermont, Georgia, or Pennsylvania? Pennsylvania. Which battle was the final major conflict of the War of 1812? Tippecanoe, New Orleans, or Baltimore? New Orleans. The first televised presidential debate was between whom? Truman and Dewey, Eisenhower and Stevenson, or Kennedy and Nixon? Kennedy and Nixon. The Scopes trial in 1925 dealt with what subject? Prohibition, teaching evolution, or free speech? Teaching evolution. Which state was an independent republic before joining the Union? Vermont, California, or Texas? Texas. The gold rush of 1849 was centered in which U.S. state? California, Nevada, or Colorado? California. The Dust Bowl primarily affected which region? The Midwest, the Deep South, or the Great Plains? The Great Plains. And we're about to see question 97. Which president signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964? Dwight Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, or Lyndon B. Johnson? Lyndon B. Johnson. The Pentagon was constructed during which war? The Korean War, World War I, or World War II? World War II. The Great Society was a domestic program under which president? Harry Truman, Franklin Roosevelt, or Lyndon B. Johnson? Lyndon B. Johnson. And we are at 100. The Apollo 11 mission launched from which U.S. site? Edwards Air Force Base, Kennedy Space Center, or the Johnson Space Center? Kennedy Space Center. And of course, for our bonus question, the only U.S. president to also serve as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court was who? Let us know the answer in the comments, and of course, how well you did with our quiz class Einstein rewards. And here they are. Thanks for playing this quiz. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you in our next one. Bye-bye.